Hi, my name is Jess. Welcome to Books Past Bedtime. I have another book haul for you. It really hasn't been that long since I filmed my last book haul, and it's ridiculous that I've acquired this many books, but here we are. So I don't even know how many I have. Let me count really quick. I think I have 22. So let's just hop into it. Like last time, I have them separated into categories. So if you're interested in a particular category, you can skip right to it. I have a stack of thrillers here, I have a stack of literary fiction, I have a stack of sci-fi and fantasy, I have a stack of romance, and I have a stack of YA. So these are in really no particular order. I just kind of laid them out. I have acquired all of these over the past 2-3 months. So let's just hop right into it. I think I'm gonna start with the thrillers because those are right here beside me. So the first one I have here is Pretty Little Wife by Darby Kane. This follows our main character Lila, who lives in this town where this girl disappeared not too long ago. Then her husband disappears and everybody kind of writes it off as strange coincidences, but Lila knows the truth. I think she actually murdered her husband and was the last to see his body, but then his body disappeared and we don't know if he's still dead. I picked this one from Book of the Month because it sounded like the best option of the 5 and not having very high expectations for it, but I've heard from some of my friends that they really loved it. Like I think both Amanda and Haley rated this 5 stars, so I am now very excited to read this one and I cannot wait to pick it up. When I was in Austin with my friend Haley, she took me to my first half-priced books and that was quite an experience. I did a little bit of damage and it was kind of stressful because I had to pack them all into my suitcase. And I only brought a carry-on. So the first book I got there was Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I've read 2 books by Riley Sager so far, Final Girls and Home Before Dark. I didn't really like Final Girls, but I did love Home Before Dark, so I have high hopes for this one. I think this is another haunted house-esque story. Yeah, I believe it follows our main character Jules, who is apartment sitting for these people, and I think the house is some kind of like smart house maybe or something, and starts acting up and being a little bit creepy. So this sounds really good. I'm very excited to read more of Riley Sager's backlist, and this is one that I feel like a lot of people really like. Can't wait to get to this one. I also found 3 more books that I forgot I bought, so make that total 25. I also got Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. I've only read one with Ruth Ware book so far, I believe, Into a Dark Wood. I thought it was okay, which I've heard from a lot of people, but Turn of the Key I think is a favorite among Ruth Ware stans. So I actually think I got this one confused with Lock Every Door. I think this one is about the smart home. It's about this main character who takes this job as a nanny in this like fancy house. The house starts acting up, child ends up dead, and she ends up on trial for murder. So I don't know what Lock Every Door is about. Maybe that's about a haunted house and this one's about a smart house. I don't know. They sound kind of similar to me. I also picked up The Chain by Adrienne McKenty, which I am like for some reason super excited for. This is about a chain of child kidnappings. So our main character's child gets kidnapped and she receives a call the next day saying, I have your child. In order to get your child back safely, you have to kidnap the next child in the chain, and so on and so forth. And so this really sounds like an edge of your seat thriller. And I think me and Haley and Caroline are going to buddy read this book, maybe even starting today. And so I'm very excited to read this book and chat with them about it. It sounds so freaking cool and I hope it lives up to my expectations because they're honestly kind of high. I also picked up An Invisible Girl by Lisa Jewell, and this was at the recommendation of Haley. Again, I'm just Haley's biggest fan if you didn't know. So Haley loves Lisa Jewell. Lisa Jewell and me have not gotten along in the past. I've read The Family Upstairs and Watching You, which both had really cool premises, but I didn't like the execution. They were just a little weird, a little boring, but I have higher hopes for this one. This is about this creepy man who is an incel and he has just gotten fired from his job for sexual misconduct, and a girl across the street tells her mother that she's being watched. Everybody kind of assumes it's him. I think this has like some dark web elements, some weird stalkery elements, and it honestly sounds really cool. Haley gave it 5 stars, so I hope that this will be the Lisa Jewell book that converts me into a Lisa Jewell fan. I also picked up Night Film by Marisha Pessl. This is a book I've been interested in for so long. It was a booktube darling like back in the day and I never picked it up, but now I finally have, and it sounds really so cool. This follows an investigative journalist who decides to investigate the death of this woman. Her death was originally ruled a suicide, but he thinks there's something more to it, and he uncovers this like family legacy that's insane. Her dad was like a director of these cult horror films, and this book is like multimedia. Ooh, creepy. And so there's like pictures and weird things in here, and I've heard so many good things about this. It sounds really cool and honestly right up my alley. As you know, if you've been here for a while, I really love the multimedia aspect of books, so I'm really excited for this one. Can't wait to be spooked because it sounds spooky as hell, and I just opened that picture randomly and it was freaking creepy. So very excited, even more so for this. And then I also have The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter. This was sent to me by the lovely Caroline. Thank you so much, Caroline. You're literally the best. I'm so excited for this book. This is definitely the Karen Slaughter that has been top of my radar since I read Pretty Girls. Pretty Girls was my favorite thriller of 2020, maybe even my favorite book. I don't know. You're gonna have to wait and find out from my top 10 of 2020 video. But anyway, I adore Karen Slaughter now, even though I've only read one book, so I'm very, very excited to get to this one. The tagline for this one is, two girls are forced into the woods at gunpoint. One runs for her life, one is left behind. I don't really want to know much more going into this, but it sounds so good, and I trust Karen Slaughter with my life, so I cannot wait to read this one. I also have The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. I believe this is almost kind of like a Groundhog Day-esque mystery thriller, in that Evelyn will die every single day unless Aiden can break this cycle. But the problem is that Aiden wakes up in the body of a different guest at this estate every single day, and some are more helpful than others. So this sounds wild. I've heard that it's really like crazy and intricate, so I'm very excited to dive into it. I think that this sounds like something that will like keep my mind working, and I'm all for that, honestly, so I am very excited to get to this one. And then I also picked up The Searcher by Tana French, which was one of my most anticipated thriller releases of this past fall. This book follows this retired detective who decides to spend his retirement in rural Ireland, so he moves out there determined to swear off all of his investigative instincts, but then some boys in this town start to go missing, and this young kid really implores him to look into it because no one else in the town seems to care, not even the police. And so he kind of gets roped back into figuring out what's happening in this town. It just sounds really cool. I love books set in like Ireland and England and like Europe in general, places where I don't live. So I'm very excited to get to this one, and I think it sounds so cool. All right, that's it for my thrillers. I think I'm going to dive right into my literary fiction pile. The first book I have here is Betty by Tiffany McDaniel. This book is about this young girl named Betty who is mixed race. Her mother is white and her father is Cherokee. She grows up in a rural area stricken with poverty, has a lot of hardships in her life growing up, but she really escapes into nature, and then later on in life she escapes into writing and really finds solace in recounting her family's hardships and struggles and triumphs. I believe this is based on Tiffany McDaniel's own family story in some ways, so I think it's semi-autobiographical, but it is obviously a fictional account. I've heard people say that this book just rips them to pieces, and I am ready to be ripped to pieces, let me tell you, so I'm very excited to pick this one up. This was a random pick, and that is Inland by 𝗬𝗂𝗧 𝗠𝗲. I just randomly picked this one up in the bookstore because it is freaking beautiful, like that cover, oh my god. And when I found out it had like an Old West American setting, I was like, okay, I'm buying this book. I don't know why, but I'm just a huge sucker for like Oregon Trail and westward movement history. Like that's my favorite like section of history. Is my favorite like weird niche historical fiction genre. So I was really excited to pick this book up because I had never heard of it, even though it was a Barnes & Noble book club, I don't know, stickers. I'm really not sure what this is about, honestly, but with that setting and with the cover, I just had to buy it, so hopefully it's good. I also got Transcendent Kingdom by 𝗂𝗪𝗂 as one of my book of the month picks. This book follows our main character who is a scientist, but she's also a really religious person, and this book is about her trying to reconcile those two aspects of her life and figure out how her knowledge as a scientist can fit in with her belief as a religious person. I'm planning to read this one very soon, and I'm very excited. It sounds really great, and like it will make me feel smart, honestly, so I'm excited to see what it's all about. And if you have been watching my channel for a while, you probably know that I also got The Secret History by Donna Tartt from Book of the Month not too long ago. I read this book in my reading the books based about blah what I read this in my video where I read all of the books that 8 Perfect Murders is based on, so if you want to hear my thoughts on that, definitely check out that video. But I definitely really liked this book. I think I gave it like 4.5 stars. This is like the epitome of dark academia, and it follows all of these like pretentious college kids who commit this murder, and then they spiral into guilt and grief, and it's a mess. It's messy and filled with drama, and honestly amazing. I really loved this. It's huge, but honestly kind of worth it. Donna Tartt, incredible writer. Like when I was reading this book, I was like, Donna Tartt is meant to be a writer. Like she is one of the best writers I've ever read from. Like just the way that she could put words together and string a sentence together, incredible. Blew me away. Really liked this book. Okay, that's all my literary fiction. We are quickly losing the light, so I will try and hurry through the rest of these. But my next stack here is science fiction / fantasy. The first one here is The Weight of the Stars by Kay Ancrum, which my friend Mare sent me. Thank you, Mare. And as far as I know, this is a sapphic sci-fi story following this girl who really wants to be an astronaut and this other girl whose mother is an astronaut. I think Lala would explain this book as like space adjacent. adjacent. Like it's about space, but it's set on Earth, if that makes sense. But I definitely was drawn to it because of the sapphic love story in it, and also because this is the author of The Wicker King, which I read earlier this year and really enjoyed. So I'm very excited to get to this one. And look at the cool pages. Love that. This is probably surprising to no one, but I also got Midnight Sun by Stephenie Meyer. This is the retelling of Twilight from Edward's perspective. I don't think I really need to explain what Twilight is about, hopefully, but human falls in love with vampire. That's basically it. No, I have not read it yet. I'm going to soon this month, I promise. Please hold me to that, but also don't, because I don't like being told what to do. And you all probably also know that I have this one, and that is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This was the Page Turner Book Club pick for November. I really enjoyed reading it with everybody. I gave it 4.5 stars. I talked about it in my November wrap up, and I will also link the Page Turner Book Club discussion down below if you want to check that out. I loved this book. This book follows this magical caseworker named Linus. He is assigned to go investigate this orphanage for magical children to make sure it's ethical and everything's good. And he goes and investigates this orphanage, and although he's supposed to remain objective, he really starts to form a relationship with both the master of the house and also all of the children. And then he also kind of discovers that the company he works for, the government, doesn't really necessarily have the best interests of the children at heart, and so he kind of is in a pickle. Needless to say. This book is really cute. It's a really hopeful story full of like happiness and joy, and I just really loved that. So good, so cute. Would really recommend this one. Please read this one. I just smacked the shit out of it on my book card. Whoops. And I also have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This book is about this girl who makes this Faustian bargain to live forever, but in exchange, nobody ever remembers who she is. The bargain was a lot more than she bargained for, you could say. 300 years later, still no one has remembered her until someone does. I have started this book. I'm like 70 pages in. It hasn't really like gripped me, but I still am very excited to keep going. I just have a lot of other things on my plate right now and kind of want to just be able to sit down and dedicate myself to this book when I do read it. So it's on hold for now, but I do have very high hopes for it, and I hope I love it as much as everybody else. Oh my god, I've already been talking for 20 minutes. 2 stacks left. Next, romance. The first book I have on the stack is The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory, which my good friend Nitty sent to me. Thank you so much, Nitty. You are an angel. I love you. But I believe this is the first book in Jasmine Guillory's little like companion series of romances. I haven't read any of them, but yes, I do own all of them. So this book follows Alexa, who agrees to go to a wedding with a guy she met in an elevator who she does not know. And she's normally not the spontaneous type, but this guy is just a little bit too irresistible. And so I believe this book just shows them having more fun than they ever thought possible and growing close and falling in love, hopefully. Sounds cute. I'm excited to read it. I kind of think I might do a reading vlog with this whole series. If anybody is interested, let me know. I'd love to know. I also have Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. This was one of my most anticipated books of winter as well, and I went ahead and picked it up. And this book follows 2 characters. I believe the girl is like a very popular fan fiction writer in the fandom of this TV show, and she's also like a cosplayer, just like famous in the fandom in general. And the guy is actually an actor on the series, and he also like writes fan fiction for the series secretly. They end up somehow meeting and falling in love, I think. So sounds cute. I like books that include fandom, even though they usually disappoint me, but I've heard good things about this one, so hopefully it won't. Next, I picked up Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. This book gives me so many red, white, and royal blue vibes, and nothing has ever lived up to that book for me, so I'm hoping this one will fill that void in my heart. But this book is basically about Luke, who's the son of a rock star, and he wants to clean up his image, so he hires a fake boyfriend to help him do so, and I think they clash at first, but obviously hopefully end up falling in love. So it sounds really cute. We always love a male-male romance. And then the last book in my romance category is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by 𝗬𝗪 Hibbert. This is the first book in the Brown Sisters little companion series by 𝗬𝗪 Hibbert, and it follows our main character Chloe Brown, and I believe she has some kind of like near-death experience, and so she decides that in light of this, she really hasn't been living her life to the fullest, and so she creates a bucket list of sorts, and then she enlists the help of her landlord, Red, I believe, to help her complete this list, and they end up falling in love, and I've heard it's really cute. And this is also on my TBR for the Disney Channel Games Readathon, so if you are not participating in that, you should be. I don't know if it's too late to sign up, but I don't really see why not if you just want to participate in the last couple challenges, so definitely get on that if you're interested. All the information will be in the description down below. This is our buddy read book for the blue team, so we will be reading it from December 18th to December 20th. If you want to hop in and read with us, you are more than welcome to do so. I will leave the Discord link in the description down below. And then finally, we have our last little stack of YA books. These are a mix of genres, but I just threw them all together because I only had 4. The first book I have here is American Girls by Alison Umminger. Doppelganger, and this is a story about a 15-year-old girl who really finds the Manson murders to be very intriguing, and so she spends a lot of her time investigating these. And I'm not really sure what else happens in this one, but I thought it sounded pretty cool, and it's a little short, quick read that I thought would be fun to pick up at some point. I think I only paid a couple dollars for this at a discount store, so yeah, that's that. I also have here Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour, which was kindly sent to me by my good friend Amanda over at Ginger Snapped Reads. She is the sweetest sweetheart. Definitely go check out her channel and subscribe to her, and she was so kind to send me this book, and I love her. So this is a YA like magical realism, I believe, and it's about this girl who kind of doesn't know what she wants to do with her life, so she accepts this position at this like remote farm, I think, and there are ghosts there, and she starts seeing ghosts and weird things start to happen. I don't really know a lot about it. The description's kind of hard to like form a description from. It's kind of like whimsical and weird, but I'm very excited to get to this one. I've loved everything I've read by Nina LaCour, so I have very high hopes. Nina LaCour usually writes sapphic stuff too, so I hope this is sapphic. And then my dear friend Rachel kindly sent me All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. I'm so excited to read this. This is one of Rachel's favorite books of the year, so thank you so much, Rachel, for sending this to me. I really appreciate you. So George M. Johnson is an activist, and this is his memoir about growing up Black and queer and how to reconcile those two parts of himself. This sounds so good. I've heard it's so powerful, and I cannot wait to pick it up. I'm so excited. Also, can we just take a second to appreciate this cover? Like, how freaking gorgeous. And then last but not least, my dear friend Kirsten, one of my first and best bookish friends here on BookTube, sent me Verona Comics by Jennifer Dugan, and she's so sweet. I love her so much. I put this book on my wish list because she recommended it, and she was nice enough to send it to me. This is a contemporary romance following these two characters. The girl's family, she owns like this small mom and pop comic store shop, and then the boy, his family owns this like huge mega chain of comic book shops, and so their families kind of have a feud with one another, so it's kind of almost like a little Romeo and Juliet romance, I think, that goes on, and it sounds really cute. Kristen really loved it, like I said, and I cannot wait to get to this one because it sounds so cute and fun, heartwarming, and I'm excited. So those are the 25 books that I have managed to accumulate over the last couple of months. A lot of them came as gifts from friends, so thank you guys so much again if you sent me a book. Like, you guys are the best. I'm obsessed with all of you. Love you to death. And thank you so much to you guys for watching this video. I really appreciate you being here. All relevant links will be in the description down below. Follow me over on Instagram if you want to keep up with me outside of BookTube. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Turn on that notification bell, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!